Today I have something very important to share with you. Make sure to stay until the end because this message will change your life. The fact that you're here now means it's already begun. You may not fully understand what that means yet, but something inside you does. Lately, you've probably been feeling it. A strange tension in your body, a quiet pressure building inside you. Not loud, not chaotic, just a subtle shift. Like something beneath the surface of your life is moving, changing, preparing. And maybe you've started to notice the world around you feels different. People feel distant. Old routines aren't working the way they used to. What once gave you comfort now feels hollow. You're showing up for life, but something's off, and you can't quite explain it. But here's the truth. You were never meant to feel at home in a version of your life you've already outgrown. And the reason you clicked on this video, right now, in this exact moment, is because your energy already knows what your mind hasn't caught up to yet. This message found you because it was meant to. Not because of an algorithm, not because of coincidence, but because your soul is actively searching for clarity, and this message is one of the signs it asked for. Sometimes, transformation doesn't start with a loud moment. It starts in quiet ways, with a whisper, a pause, a strange feeling that you can't shake. It starts with disconnection, with questions you don't have answers to. It starts when your old world begins to feel too small for the person you're becoming. And even if no one around you sees what's happening inside you, even if your life looks fine on the outside, you know something is shifting. You feel it in the way your emotions have changed. You feel it in the sudden exhaustion that doesn't come from lack of sleep, but from spiritual weight. You feel it when you're scrolling through your day, and then, you stop here. Something about this pulled you in. That's not an accident. This is your confirmation. You're not lost. You're not broken. You're not being left behind. You are being guided. And this message, this moment, is part of that guidance. Don't rush past it. Don't brush it off. Let yourself take it in fully. Because the shift you've been sensing isn't something that's coming. It's something that's already happening. You might think nothing major has changed in your life lately. No big event, no dramatic turning point. And yet, everything feels different. Almost like the air has changed. Like you've changed. Without quite meaning to. That's because energy always shifts before the physical world catches up. Long before we see transformation outside of us, it starts to move quietly within us, in the body, in the mind, in the soul. And your energy is shifting. Right now. You may have noticed strange signs showing up in your life. Numbers that repeat, 111, 222, 555, at just the right moments. Dreams that feel vivid and symbolic, almost like messages. Music that hits differently, random encounters that seem to echo your exact inner thoughts. These aren't coincidences. They're signals. Small ones but very real. The kind of signs your logical mind might dismiss, but your intuition feels in your bones. You may also feel more sensitive than usual. Emotions that rise for no reason. A strong need to be alone. A wave of nostalgia or grief, even if you can't name what you're mourning. Or the opposite. A burst of clarity, peace, or lightness that comes out of nowhere, as if the universe just breathed into you. Another subtle shift? You might be starting to feel disinterested in things you used to care about. Certain friendships, conversations, habits, goals. They haven't done anything wrong. They just don't feel like you anymore. That's because they're part of your old energetic timeline. And even if you can't see the new version of your life yet, your soul is already turning toward it. You're not lazy. You're not unmotivated, you're not broken. You are transitioning. You are outgrowing patterns, beliefs, and ways of being that can't follow you into this next version of your life. That disconnection you feel from the old is actually your soul making room for the new. Your nervous system may be feeling it too. Anxiety that doesn't seem to have a source. A heavy feeling in your chest. Sudden fatigue, even after a good night's sleep. This isn't all in your head. It's your body trying to process what your spirit already knows. Something is unfolding. You're being prepared. You're being recalibrated. This is the inner shift. The one that comes before breakthroughs, before blessings, before the physical changes arrive. The mistake many people make is ignoring this part. Dismissing the signs. Telling themselves nothing is happening because they can't see it yet. But you didn't do that. You paid attention. That's why you're here, right now. That's why this message is reaching you. So instead of fighting the weirdness, the disconnection, the emotions, try honoring them. Try listening more closely to what's underneath. You're not falling apart, you're coming into alignment. And these signs? They're not random. They are answers to a question your soul asked long ago. You're not imagining it. Your energy is shifting. Your life is already catching up. You might be wondering, if a shift is happening, why does everything still feel so uncertain? Why does it feel like I'm floating between worlds? The truth is, most people think transformation will feel empowering and exciting, like an instant breakthrough. But real soul-level change doesn't usually arrive like that. It begins in the confusion, in the moments when nothing makes sense, when old paths feel closed, and new ones haven't appeared yet. Right now, you may feel like you're standing in the in-between, not fully in your old life, not yet in the new. That space can feel incredibly disorienting. Your mind wants clarity, timelines, proof. But your soul is learning to live in something deeper, trust. This in-between space, the fog you're moving through, is not a sign that you're doing something wrong, it's a sign that you're being recalibrated. That you're shedding old energetic layers that once protected you but now limit you. And that process doesn't feel clean or easy, it feels messy, emotional, quiet. And sometimes deeply uncomfortable. You might feel like isolating more than usual. You might not want to explain yourself to people who won't understand. You may not even have the words to explain what's going on inside you, because your transformation is happening in a language beyond words. You're unlearning old stories about who you thought you had to be. You're releasing timelines where your worth was attached to what you could produce, achieve, or fix. And as that structure crumbles, there can be fear, grief, emptiness. But here's what most people don't know. That emptiness is sacred. It's not a void to be feared, it's a womb. A space of deep spiritual rest and restoration. You're not lost in the dark, you are being held in stillness, so that when the light returns you'll be strong enough to carry it. The confusion you feel is a natural symptom of growth. You are stretching into new levels of alignment, even if you can't articulate it yet. Your soul knows where it's going, even if your mind is still catching up. So be gentle with yourself here. This part isn't meant to make sense, it's meant to prepare you. Because once the clarity arrives, once your outer world begins to match your inner vibration, you'll look back on this fog and realize it wasn't a delay, it was sacred timing. It was your initiation, and you didn't miss it. You moved through it with grace, even if it didn't feel graceful. The confusion won't last forever. But the version of you being shaped in it, that's the version that can hold the life you've been asking for. One of the hardest lessons to accept on this journey is this. The universe always moves before you can see it. The shift begins long before anything changes on the surface. By the time something shows up in your physical reality, a new opportunity, a relationship, a breakthrough, it has already been set in motion behind the scenes, energetically, spiritually, quietly. But in the space between the intention and the arrival, it's easy to doubt, to wonder if anything is actually happening, to look at your life and feel like nothing is moving, even though something deep inside you says otherwise. That's because the universe works in layers. It doesn't just drop change into your lap. It prepares you to receive it. It removes what no longer fits. It softens your resistance. It tunes your frequency so that what's meant for you can recognize you when it's time. This process often feels like silence. Like waiting. Like wandering through a fog with no signs in sight. But just because you can't see the movement, doesn't mean there isn't any. Just because you haven't received the outcome, doesn't mean your energy hasn't already aligned with it. Think of it like planting a seed. For days or weeks the soil looks unchanged. But underneath, everything is happening. Roots are forming, foundations are being laid, and if you dig it up too soon to check its progress, you'll kill what was quietly growing. That's how the universe moves. Not always loudly, not always visibly, but always with intention. So if you're in a season where it feels like nothing is happening, hold on. Your life is not stagnant, it's being rearranged. The pieces are moving. The shift is active. You just haven't reached the surface yet. Trust this silence. Trust that your prayers were heard the first time. Trust that alignment often feels like stillness before it feels like momentum. The universe doesn't need your worry. It needs your readiness. It needs your faith, your surrender, your willingness to hold space for what's coming, even when there's no evidence yet. Because one day, very soon, the invisible will become undeniable. What you've been preparing for will arrive, and when it does, it will feel sudden. But it wasn't. It was unfolding all along, and when that moment comes, you'll realize, the universe didn't forget you. It was finishing the masterpiece. You may not see the full picture yet. You may still feel caught between timelines, between who you were and who you're becoming. But please hear this. Even in your doubt, even in your silence, you are already evolving. Becoming is not something you wait to do. It's something that begins quietly, from the moment you decide you're ready for something more, even if you don't know what more looks like yet. It's in the moments you choose rest instead of self-punishment. It's when you honor your emotions instead of suppressing them. It's every time you say no to what drains you, and yes to what brings you back to life. This journey you're on, it isn't about fixing yourself. It's about returning to yourself. Peeling back the layers of fear, expectation, and conditioning until what's left is something more honest. Something more aligned. Something that feels like peace. You don't need to have it all figured out. No one does. The version of you that is meant to receive the life you've been asking for, she's not waiting at some distant finish line. She's being shaped by every choice you're making right now. So even if you feel like nothing is happening, look again. The healing you did in private, that counts. The boundaries you set, even when your voice shook, that counts. The way you held space for yourself when no one else did, that changed everything. Every time you listened to your intuition, every time you followed the nudge that didn't make logical sense, you were building a bridge toward your future. You're not broken. You're not behind. You are unfolding, slowly and beautifully. And even if you can't see the destination yet, your steps are leading somewhere sacred. And maybe, just maybe, someone else needs to hear this too. So if it felt like a reflection of your own journey, your thoughts, your shift, your becoming, feel free to share it in the comments. You never know who might read it and feel a little less alone. This space is meant to hold you, to remind you that the work you're doing, both seen and unseen, matters. And if you ever need a reminder again, these messages will be here waiting. You're already becoming who you're meant to be. Not someday, not when it's perfect. Right now. In this breath. In this moment.